What's going on, everybody? Jordan here, back with another episode of 3rd and 20. It's your favorite football podcast, and I got a new setup here. Obviously this thing's just getting going off the ground. This is kind of episode 2 because I did record another type of sample episode that I put up on the YouTube channel. You might be watching this when it comes out. You might be watching this way down the road when there's a million of these episodes and a million fans and everything going on. But we have a new setup, kind of more of a live stream type setup right now, and this is what we're going to be doing going forward. So hopefully Tuesdays and Fridays is the plan right now. This might kind of change as we go, but hopefully I'm going to be doing these things live on YouTube and then putting clips up as YouTube Shorts and TikToks. I'm noticing, a few things getting started, like some audio monitoring things I got to work on. Cameras kind of auto-focusing here and there. So these are some little things I'm going to work on as I go through this and kind of perfect this whole setup here and give you guys some great sports, football, NFL content. And that's the plan. Today, for this episode 2, we're just going to review all of the games from Sunday and Monday night. This is, an NFL-based podcast, so we're going to talk about NFL scores and kind of going over all of those from November 19, Week 11 is the main one that I'm going to be talking about today. So we are going to go through all these games. We're not going to touch on the Thursday night game, and there's some more games to come in the future. I'll just do preview episodes on those games as they come up. And, this is football season 1 I'm doing this, so it might kind of need some future seasons and off seasons to get things perfected in the whole process of everything. But we are going to talk about the first game today, which is going to be, as you can see here on my screen, at the top corner, right here, Cowboys-Panthers. Cowboys 33, Panthers 10. We're going to talk about this Cowboys 33, Panthers 10 loss for the Panthers, which wasn't surprising. I think Dallas was favored by double digits, and it's not really a super surprising game, I guess. I just want to give quick thoughts and everything, is that the Cowboys look very, very good against not so good teams. It's kind of been, in general, how this whole year's gone. Destroying the Giants a couple times, beating up on the bad teams today. Took a while to get started. Kind of looked like the Panthers actually had a shot early, and then Dallas ran away with it at the end, as everyone did expect. So nothing really to note here except that Dallas looks really good against bad teams, and they haven't looked so good against great teams. But I kind of am a believer in this. It pains me to say, I'm not a fan or anything, but I'm kind of a believer in the sense that I think the Cowboys can get it rolling at the right time. It's still very possible. They haven't had any huge significant injuries that will affect their weapons. Defense, some injuries there, but it doesn't seem to be affecting things too bad. And the highlight of this game was really Bland getting another pick 6. That was just a huge milestone for him, kind of tying that record for pick 6s with a lot of weeks to go yet. So Cowboys look good. I don't think the season's not lost for them, as I'm sure those fans don't even think it is, but a lot of people kind of think Dallas is overrated right now, and I was one of them. I think they're fine. I think they will put up some good performances against good teams later on when it counts most. So we're going to talk about next the Steelers and the Browns. This is one I watched and kind of had my eye on this one the whole way through, because this AFC North race is actually super interesting. The AFC North had a week or two ago 4 playoff teams in it, and since that time when everyone was talking about these 4 playoff teams that could come out of the AFC North, we had Joe Burrow get hurt, we had Deshaun Watson get hurt. The Steelers obviously haven't looked great on offense throughout this year, and as I'm recording this, Matt Canada was fired, so that was something that happened that maybe will improve the Steelers' offense. I don't know, but it at least was making a move in the middle of a winning season, which is, I think, a good thing. But this game really came down to some defensive struggles and showing, in my opinion, the Browns can hang in there even if their offense can't perform, which is really important. I know the Steelers' offense isn't anything special, but that Browns defense is something special. And Mike Tomlin, excuse as it may be, did kind of put it correctly in his post-game press conference when he said, the Browns have been doing this to teams all year. This is what they've been doing. They make everyone's offense look like complete poop. And that's what they did to the Steelers in this game, winning on a last-second field goal again. Browns 13, Steelers 10. All right, let's talk about the Detroit and Chicago game. As a Vikings fan, this one stung a little bit. Ended up not really mattering with the Vikings losing anyways on Monday night, but kind of thinking, feeling that Josh Dobbs magic kind of thing going on in Minnesota, and felt like if the Lions drop a bad game to the Bears, which it looked like when Goff was throwing interceptions every chance he got, it looked like the Bears were going to pull it off. I should have known better that the Kitties could, come back and make this one an easy game, an easy win at the end. It kind of looked like you kind of knew where this was headed. At least, you got to the point, it's like, okay, the Lions got the ball, lots of time left, they're going to score. I don't imagine Justin Fields is going to march his team down against the Lions and, score another even field goal, get them in field goal range. Stranger things have happened, but I didn't trust the Bears, and I got a little too excited for no reason. Detroit pulled it off, 31-26. Detroit will win the North quite easily, actually, and they're going to be a playoff team that I wouldn't want to face, because that offense still scored 31 points, 29 points really because of the safety, but 29 points even with all the struggles, all the interceptions, which has hardly ever happened since Goff came to Detroit. So it's not something I would kind of expect to go moving forward. What I do expect moving forward is that CJ Stroud from Houston continues to make huge progressions as a quarterback and continues to just excite me. Like, this is the biggest shock to me in this NFL season, is that I'm so excited about the Houston Texans. I was talking to a buddy the other day, and I was kind of talking about the playoffs, and I was like, I'm kind of more so looking forward to the NFC conference playoffs this year, because you have teams like the Lions, you have teams like the Eagles, the Cowboys going to be, battling each other. You have some kind of low-key teams that could make a run, like Seattle or, of course, San Francisco being dominant at times. I'm more excited about that in general. But on the AFC side, even though some teams are disappointing, like Buffalo and KC, you have the Houston Texans. And the Houston Texans are so exciting to me for the reasons that they're just so fun to watch with their defense. They have a super strong defense, good coach, good young coach, and, of course, CJ Stroud. Top rookie quarterback, maybe the top quarterback right now as far as quarterback play is concerned, and he's looking very good. I'm going to jump over to a clip of CJ Stroud talking about kind of how, even with his interceptions in this game, that Houston ended up winning. They did, end up winning just barely over the Cardinals, but even with that, he did throw some interceptions in this game that were pretty bad. Kind of had his first bad game, so to say, even with the win. Here's CJ Stroud on his performance and how he's going to kind of keep his head up moving forward, so to say.
I'm going to keep letting it fly. I mean, there's things where it can go either way, and they got the better of me today, and that's just the NFL, so I'm blessed enough to come out here with a dub, and my confidence isn't going nowhere. I'm going to keep shooting it. I'm going to keep letting it fly, and that's what I think that's what makes me great, is that those times where you either get away with it or you don't, or you make the play you don't. I've been blessed enough to have plays where nobody talks about it because they don't make the play, but this game they made the plays, and that's not going to skew my confidence one bit, and I'm going to keep being me. I think I'm very confident, not only in myself, but how we're playing as an offense in the whole, and I'm not going to let my emotions and things get in front of that, and this is a football, man. This is not tennis or anything like that. I'm out there with 11 guys, and those guys always have picked me up, and I appreciate that, so and I'm still learning as I'm going, and I'm really blessed to be able to do it with such a special group of guys, so man, my confidence is still there. I'm going to keep doing what I do.
So CJ Stroud with just super high confidence, as you'd expect from a starting quarterback in the NFL, and I mean, he looked really, really good at times, and those interceptions were not so good, but it's good to see. If you're a Texans fan, or just a fan of his game in general, or like me, kind of a fan of a new team like the Texans coming in and shaking things up in the AFC, it's good to see he's going to continue slinging it. Just like the Lions, I said earlier for the NFC, Texans are a team I would not want my team to play. They are frisky, so to say. The next team we're going to talk about, Dolphins, Raiders. Dolphins, Raiders. This game kind of came on off and on Red Zone, which I had up on one of the TVs here in the house. And, the Dolphins kind of let the Raiders hang in there. Tua had some bad throws. Tyreek went out for a little bit in the game with a hand injury. He had some good plays, too. Had actually an amazing first half. And with, I don't remember what he had. It was over 120 yards just in the first quarter and a half. And he was just completely balling out. Raiders hung in there. You can tell that they're excited to play for Coach Pierce, and everything's going fairly well there as far as morale is concerned. It's just not a good team, and it's just not a good offense, even when, little flashes of, that was a good throw from O'Connell to Devontae Adams. Little things like that come in and out, but it's more negative than positive at this point for Las Vegas. And this one, the Dolphins should have won. They ended up winning, maybe a little bit too close than what they wanted and people expected. But that's sometimes the way it is in the NFL too. I've come to realize is that you expect the blowout, and a lot of times either the better team will play down to the worst team, or the worst team will actually feel motivated to want to take off that top seed or that good team, and they'll actually play better and give you a challenge, which is something super nice about the NFL compared to college or high school or something like that. So we're going to talk about the Commanders and Giants very briefly. This was one I thought Red Zone spent way too much time on Sunday because it just wasn't that interesting of a game. These are two teams that aren't very good. I mean, the Giants are at the bottom of the barrel. Apparently the Commanders are pretty bad too, and this is another one of those examples is bad team can play good sometimes and have some good plays and take down a team that is supposed to be better. Commanders just didn't play very well, and the Giants were able to actually put something together on offense, which I guess is kind of a bright spot. But, I'll just say this team won't look anything like this next year or beyond, meaning they're going to move a lot of pieces, draft a lot of guys, make a lot of big changes that will hopefully help, as if you're a Giants fan. And it's hard to say so far as one of the worst teams I've seen ever. So, Chargers-Packers. Another, it's a tough day for a Vikings fan, honestly. Sunday night loss to the Broncos. Detroit coming back for Chicago, taking over that game at the end in the final couple minutes. And then the Packers kind of completing a comeback against the Chargers, a game that the Chargers really should have won. Again, Chargers have almost fumbled the bag on a lot of their wins, and they have fumbled the bag on a lot of their losses. The situational football thing just isn't there. It's almost like Coach Staley kind of thinks, what should I call in this scenario, given all of these factors going on in my head, but doesn't really have the awareness of what will actually work. It's kind of, that's me talking, just a common fan. So, of course, I'll stay in my lane, in my place, but it just seems like he just doesn't have good play calls and good situations. And he actually got a little bit defensive of this, and we will listen in on Coach Staley kind of going off on a reporter in his post-game press conference after a really tough loss to the Packers.
I have full confidence, like I've told you, and like I've told you from the beginning, I have full confidence in our way of playing. Full confidence in myself as the play caller, in the way that we teach, and the way that we scheme. Full confidence in that. We got to bring this group together and do it consistently, okay? And that's where it's at. So you can stop asking that question, okay? I'm going to be calling the defenses, okay? So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again.
So Coach Staley get a little heated about the defenses that he's calling. Things just don't look good. Like I said, situational ball just not there very well for Coach Staley and what he's calling and what packages he's putting together and when. It's just not getting together, and his offense has a lot of trouble too. Some big drop balls here that could have kind of sealed the game. Just pain my heart to see, but Chargers lose another one, and their season is kind of slipping out of their fingers right now, which I think is kind of why Coach Staley is getting a little bit testy, because he probably sees the writing on the wall. If they don't make the playoffs, he's probably gone, and it's looking like they might not make the playoffs. Kansas City will probably win this division. Denver, I mean, they're looking good. They're on a hot streak. They can win a few more games at least. Maybe take a wild card spot if Kansas City goes on a slide. You never know. Like, Denver could make a crazy run. It's going to be hard to make it in the AFC as a third place team in your division, and I think that, we're probably, especially with the strong AFC North, not looking at that, and you'd be lucky to even get a wild card team from that division. So Chargers in big trouble unless they can really put together a hot streak, win some of these crucial division matchups too. So we'll talk about Jaguars Titans. Actually, I'm barely going to talk about it because Jaguars Titans was all Jaguars. Titans had a couple good plays at the end that I guess would get Titans fans excited, like from Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins, and you got Derrick Henry, and you got some good players in there, but it's, again, not a good team. High draft pick incoming for Tennessee. No playoffs, unfortunately, for Mike Vrabel and his squad. Jacksonville kind of put it back together, bounced back after a tough loss, and that's what you want to see. Jacksonville's a team that I kind of hope gets into the playoffs in the AFC because they are fun to watch. They're going to be battling with Houston like crazy to try to get that division, I think, and it's going to be really fun to watch at the end of the year, especially when they go head-to-head. C.J. Stroud versus Trevor Lawrence is something I really want to see, and I'll be tuning into that game, but I don't think two teams make it to the playoffs in this division, and Jacksonville might be the odd guys out there if Houston continues to roll. So it's looking tough for Jacksonville, too. They need to put together some big games like this one against Tennessee, beat who they should beat, maybe knock off some good teams too, which is something they've had a little bit of trouble with this year so far. San Francisco did to Tampa Bay what everyone thought that they could. They looked great. Tampa Bay kind of was a little pesky, which they kind of are. Baker, I think, is great in Tampa Bay. I don't think he'll be their starter next year, but he'd look great. And San Francisco's kind of back to their old ways. They've looked really good the last couple weeks, and I don't know. I finished last night watching that Kansas City-Philadelphia game, and no knock on the Eagles, no knock on the division rival Lions for me, but I kind of think San Francisco's still the best team in the NFC, maybe the whole league, even though they had a few games slide there and had a couple, 3-4 games kind of rough in a row. If Purdy plays well, which he has been, and the defense hangs in there, lost some players to injury this year that have really hurt them and will continue to hurt them, but I like San Francisco to make it at least the championship. I think I wouldn't want to play them. They are a very, very good team with unlimited weapons, it seems like, at times. We'll talk about the Jets and the Bills a little bit, just in the sense that the Bills just whooped up on the Jets. I kind of thought this would be like when I was looking at the afternoon games. What am I going to watch this afternoon when I turn on the Sunday ticket? What game am I going to pull up? I thought Bills-Jets. I thought this would be kind of a little bit close, kind of like Jets-Raiders was, that kind of game, maybe Jets-Bills earlier in the year. Bills just did whatever they wanted. Jets need to do something on offense. I mean, the defense wasn't great either, allowing this many points, but if you're having turnovers, terrible interceptions from Zach Wilson, who's now benched, just not moving the ball, not scoring touchdowns except for one, you're not going to get it done. And you can't rely on your defense to, hold the other team to single digits. You got to score points. Jets, too far gone, in my opinion, for any kind of playoff hopes. And unfortunately, I don't think the Jets are going anywhere. I don't think Rodgers is going to play this year. Jets are toast because of a terrible offense, terrible offensive coordinator, and terrible quarterback play from Zach Wilson, frankly. Only a couple more left. We'll just go through these. I just kind of wanted to spend this episode, which is episode 2, rolling through all these different scores, and then we'll talk about what's to come. So the next one is Rams-Seahawks. This one ended up being, of course, like you'd expect from these two teams. This whole division, I just love watching these guys play each other. Niners-Seahawks is amazing. That's happening next week. Rams-Niners is always a good one. Rams-Seahawks is always great, too. Cardinals can get a little bit pesky in there, too. I like this game. This was just a battle to the end, and you didn't really know who was going to win. You know what I mean by that? It was just like, at times you thought Seattle's going to take this one, run away with it. They just never got away far enough from the Rams, and then Rams kind of do what they can do, and they, put together a great drive. Were able to stand up on defense. Geno Smith went out in this game. I think that's kind of the thing to note here. And Drew Lock came in, didn't look good. And Geno Smith is kind of the backbone of that team, I think. If Geno Smith misses time, Seattle might miss the playoffs, and I truly believe that. Seattle has been a good team all year, a team that has been almost a shoo-in for the playoffs since week 3 or 4. Like, they have been playing great, and it seemed like they're going to be a wild card team for sure. I don't know. If Geno Smith is hurt, maybe not. So here's Geno Smith talking about his injury and kind of how he came back at the end of this game and tried to actually come in and win the game for Seattle after Drew Lock wasn't doing it.
I really just had to try to do my best to fight through the pain. That was the main thing, is just pain tolerance. And just trying my best to just fight through it, keep going. We'll see how it goes.
So you can see that Geno's kind of a little bit unsure of, his progress in general and what this injury means for him. This is a close one to monitor. I really think that if Geno misses time, even if it's a short couple weeks, Seattle's not going to win. And they need these wins right now here in November and December to have a shot at the playoffs and beyond. So if Seattle gets in the playoffs, I think they're a team that could win. They were not going to be one and done. I think they could win against one of these division leaders, someone like Detroit. I think they could beat someone like maybe Philly, maybe even they play division rival 49ers, depending on who ends up with the 1 seed, which I guess would probably be Philly. So, you never know with those division teams. It can be tough. So they can do things if they're in. It's just getting in that might be the problem if injuries plague them. I guess I'll talk about the Broncos and the Vikings. I don't even want to say it. This one was tough to watch because it seemed like this game belonged to the Vikings for the most part. The defense was playing lights out. Broncos couldn't move the ball. Vikings had the chance at the end. Kind of a bend-don't-break type defense situation where they weren't giving the Broncos much, but then right at the end gave them, the touchdown to Courtland Sutton there at the end, and kind of a hard thing to watch on offense. They just couldn't get it going. A lot of things to talk about with the Vikings. I don't want to make this just a Vikings podcast, but Madison's got to go. That was probably Kevin O'Connell's worst play calling, game that I've seen. It was one of his worst. Just not putting Josh Dobbs in situations, and I've been on the Josh Dobbs wagon. Like, I've been super excited about him. I think he's really fun. It's fun having a mobile quarterback. But this game, it didn't just bring me back to earth. Like, I think Dobbs was still good, but what it brought me back to was knowing how good Cousins was at anticipating receivers. Like guys like Addison, guys like even Hawkinson, who's played well with Josh Dobbs, but Cousins would put the ball where they're going to be. Dobbs kind of waits. It's a little bit too late. By the time he gets the ball there, he's floating a lot of passes high in this game too. And the accuracy and the anticipation isn't quite there, which is something they will definitely need. I think we'll win a few more games. I don't think that this is like the end of the Vikings season. I think what's more important of a storyline is that the Broncos continue to play well, and their defense is playing well. They shut down a hot offense in the Vikings. They're putting together victories. That's what matters. They beat some good teams. Like, Minnesota's not a bad team, even with the injuries. Buffalo, good team, kind of tough team anyways. Kansas City, obviously, good team that they just easily beat. They're putting together some big wins against, when you look at the schedule early on, especially after week 1 through 5, they probably didn't think they were winning any of these. So it's huge that they're winning these now and could easily make a run in the playoffs. I don't know if they could win in the playoffs, especially if they end up playing, you look at the other playoff teams, like maybe if they somehow end up playing someone like Houston, maybe they could win. I don't really see them beating like Baltimore. I don't really see them beating Cleveland. I don't really see them beating the Bills. I don't really see them beating Miami. There's a lot of tough teams there that I wouldn't want them to play if I was a Broncos fan, but regardless, they're doing what they have to do right now, and the playoffs will come and then anything can happen. And I think that's kind of their mindset right now, is like, try to put all these pieces together, go get victories however they can, and everything else will shake out. Finally, to close out this one, Monday Night Football, the game I was looking forward to all week. Eagles 21, Chiefs 17, and the Super Bowl rematch, the Kelsey Bowl, we were all looking forward to. This game was pretty good. You know, someone tweeted, I forgot who tweeted it, and I'm sorry for not giving credit, but this episode won't get a ton of views anyways because it's new. Someone tweeted that this is still good football, you know, and that's kind of a good reminder. Even though it wasn't like the Super Bowl, big touchdown passes, crazy offense, wild drives, you know, great offensive game planning, it was still great football because it's hard defense, playing defense, running the ball was working for both teams. You know, you're running through the middle, quarterbacks have to make something happen with their legs. Once in a while, a nice deep shot. That's cool. I mean, that's good football. That is great. And it was fun to watch, even with the lower score than people expected. I think, you know, obviously that drop by MVS was bad at the end. I mean, people aren't really talking about that ball from Jalen Hurts enough that got them down to the one to Devontae Smith. That was crazy. What a dime that was. Just an amazing throw. Couldn't have thrown it better. And that play kind of won the game for them in a sense. It was one of those games as you went on that was like, you're kind of wondering, how in the world does KC only have 17 points? Because it seemed like through 3 quarters, they should have 30 with how their defense was playing. Eagles couldn't do anything. The play calling was atrocious. It was like screen pass after screen pass after screen pass, and then QB run. It was just like no sense play calling. And the Chiefs just couldn't take advantage of anything. 2 turnovers in the red zone or near it with Kelsey's fumble and also the interception by Mahomes early. So couldn't get the scoring to happen, which has kind of been Kansas City's struggle all year. Is like they can't put the ball in the end zone. They're kicking field goals too much. They're turning it over too much. Clean up those things, and it's a scary team because the defense added in with Mahomes, but you also need to get Mahomes some weapons ASAP, and I'm sure that's what they'll address this upcoming year. Kansas City's still, in my eyes, top dog in the AFC as long as you have Kelsey and Mahomes and that good defense, which might be the best in the AFC. They're going to be tough to beat. But the Eagles got it done, and I think the Eagles are the best team in the league right now, bar none. Baltimore is right up there too. I think they're real good, but Philly top right now, and they are only getting better. They're rolling and getting through some of these hard games with wins. Another hard game next week that I'll be looking forward to watching the Bills take on the Eagles. So that's going to be it for today, guys. This is kind of a test episode almost of a new style, which is more of this live stream radio show type vibe, right? And what I really wanted to do today was review the scores and talk about everything that went on this last Sunday and Monday night. So what this is normally going to look like, if you're curious, is hopefully you subscribe to the channel for more great stuff. We're going to be putting out great shorts, and TikToks is going to be kind of a big focus here to reach more people and engage. These are going to be more fun kind of content, some clips from the podcast, some more like fun football content kind of stuff coming out, and then hopefully going live on these shows, kind of in this waiting process to be approved to go live right now. And after that is approved and I kind of review this episode, see how it went, what can I improve, and so on and so forth, planning to go live at least once a week, if not twice, with these football episodes. But that's today's episode. I guess it's episode 2 of 3rd and 20, your new favorite football podcast, talking about this last week's games, week 11 Roundup. Thank you for watching another one, and talk to you guys later. Peace.